All right, everyone. So I wanted to make this video real quick because I was going to, do like a hands-on type of review on the ROG Ally. And here's the thing. So I decided to go ahead and upgrade the storage. So, back when I had the Steam Deck, I upgraded that storage to that one terabyte saving drive. And then when I decided to sell that off, and use that money towards this instead, I took that 1 terabyte out and now it's in here. So I'm basically re downloading all the games on here. And basically, once everything is done, I'll go ahead and start playing, a lot of these games, especially a lot of the more demanding games, and see how well they perform. And on a side note, a lot of the early type of impression videos from like a month ago or so on this device, they're basically invalid now because even Asus admitted that yeah, a lot of those the drivers for it were like incomplete and buggy. So what I can say is there are games I've been playing on here, games like Fortnite in the higher graphical settings. Several other games actually running pretty well on this thing, honestly. Though there are a couple of games I want to try and play and see how well they perform. Now, given that I am using a different drive or a different SSD than it normally comes in, maybe my maybe my views are going to be a little skewed from that. I do need to double check on the specs on the SSD that did come with the Ally handheld. But one thing I will say is that yes, it is running Windows 11. Yes, there are things about using Windows 11 in a handheld form that is not exactly going to be as plug and play as, say, like using a Switch or even to some extent the Steam Deck. Though there are some things with the Steam Deck you do need to like tinker around with. This one you have to tinker around a little bit more, but overall, has a very nice screen on it. It's a 1080p screen. It does go up to like 120 frames on it. I do like how the controls feel on this thing, and it is slightly smaller than the Steam Deck, just ever so slightly, but it is still very comfortable to hold. So I'll get more details on this handheld later on, but I just wanted to just let you guys know that yes, I do have one of these, and yes, I am going to make like an actual review impression type video on this later on. I just need some time to play some of these games, see how well they perform, things like that, and go from there. Now, one game I am really, really interested in trying is Returnal because when I on my gaming PC, Returnal works absolutely fine. There's no real issues with that. When I was trying to play it on the Steam Deck, holy crap, that was a slog fest. I'm actually interested to see how well Returnal runs on this thing. I'm not really expecting leaps and bounds better, but I'm expecting at bare minimum a playable state. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is one of the beauties of a all digital platform, especially when it comes to games. On average around 50 gigs each. Part of the reason why I wanted to throw that terabyte drive in this thing is that it can take a little while to download. Oh, look, it finally finished downloading God of War. Now it's actually doing the installation. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll end it here. Um, if you're curious how the handheld looks, there it is. One thing I will say is it's actually kind of cool. Now, if you're not really familiar with this, and I'll talk about this in more detail, when I do a second video on this. But one neat feature about this thing is that if you're not familiar with like Asus products, they have this kind of port. Now, let me see how well. So this whole black area here, this is actually a port. So, yes, that is where the USB-C port is, but there's also another proprietary port next to it. You can actually buy external GPUs and actually attach it through that. And essentially, you can use this as like your desktop gaming PC because you can also, dock it to your monitor and stuff like that, which is actually kind of cool. But it gives you that ability. So essentially, instead of having like a gaming laptop and you can use it for work and stuff like that, basically you can use this in a handheld form and then, whenever you want to just take the handheld with you, it's like, well, you just disconnect it, you basically undock it essentially, and you'll basically using the graphics built into the system instead of using the external one, which apparently can go up to like a 4090, which is actually kind of crazy when you think about it. But yeah, but I would probably do a little more research on that before I actually add more information about that. But I thought in that way is actually kind of neat. But it kind of goes into that whole thing with like some Switch rumors a while back, where like the Switch Pro was going to be more like an upgraded dock with additional graphics capabilities, where you just dock the Switch into it and it'll use that graphics instead. This is kind of like that type of concept, essentially. But anyway, I'm still letting it do its thing, and yeah. One thing I will say too before I end this video is that the the restore process, doing it from this device versus how Steam does it through the Steam Deck, the Steam Deck is actually a lot quicker. Basically, you just download an image, you format the a USB drive to it, and you plug it into the Steam Deck, and then you just boot it to the USB drive, and you basically tell it to reflash it, and that's it. This you have to go through the BIOS and connect it to your network. Tell it to essentially it would download a recovery utility, and then it will boot into that recovery utility, and then essentially it will have to like re-download the image for Windows 11 for this particular device, and all of the drivers and softwares and stuff. And basically, whereas the Steam Deck, it can take maybe at most 15 minutes or so, this thing basically took a good hour minimum. So much slower process, but it is one of those things that once you get it going, you basically just leave it plugged in, walk away, and it literally just does its thing until it gets to the first time startup for Windows 11. So, at least in that way, you don't really have to mess with it until it's fully done. It is a slower process, though. So, that is something to keep in mind. But, yeah. I'm going to end it here. It's almost 10 minutes. I thought it was actually going to be a much quicker video. But it's just me mostly talking and, about this thing. But initial impression so far. I'm actually kind of liking this thing so far. I'm actually kind of liking this a little more than the Steam Deck, but I think it's more with the software side of it than anything else. But being that this thing here was designed for Windows from the start, the Steam Deck was really designed for SteamOS from the beginning, even though Valve gives you the option, hey, you can run other operating systems on it if you want. But the way the hardware is designed is really focused on SteamOS, while this thing and the way the drivers are designed, it's really focused on Windows 11. So, yeah, anyway, I'll end it here. Like always, have a good one.